Okay, so we all use school technology pretty much every single day, right? But have you ever actually stopped to think about the rules that go with it? Well, today, we're going to do just that. We're decoding a real school's acceptable use policy to see what it all means for you. And let's just start with the one question I'm sure every single student has wondered about. We're going to get to the answer later on in this explainer, and trust me, it might just change the way you think about logging on at school. Look, schools give us some amazing tech to work with laptops, tablets, you name it. But here's the deal to use any of it, you and your parents have to sign off on that acceptable use policy. You can think of it as the rule book for your school's entire digital world. So let's start at the beginning. This policy isn't just a big list of things you can't do, it's really a guide for how to be a good digital citizen. This right here, this is the absolute core idea of the whole thing. It's actually super simple. The rules of the classroom don't just disappear the second you open your laptop. How you act in person is exactly how you're expected to act online. And here's what that looks like in the real world. A lot of this is common sense, right? Basic respect, no bullying. But notice that second point. It says you're not just supposed to avoid causing trouble, you're expected to report it. This policy actually makes you part of keeping the school's online space safe. That idea of respect also extends to people's work. The policy is really direct about this. If you copy some text or grab an image without giving credit, that's plagiarism, plain and simple. Your work needs to be your work, and you've got to cite your sources. Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the network itself. This is where your personal phone or laptop meets the school's digital highway. This chart does a great job of showing the balance you have to strike. The policy makes it clear that using your own device at school is a privilege, not a right. And when you're on the school's network, you have to remember that it's a shared resource. That means schoolwork always gets top priority, and you can't be doing stuff that slows it down for everyone else. To keep everyone safe and focused on learning, schools have to filter their internet. This isn't some secret thing, it's a measure that's spelled out right in the policy, to block stuff that's inappropriate or just distracting. But we've all been there. What happens when that filter is a little overenthusiastic and it blocks a site you genuinely need for a research project? Well, the policy gives you a clear game plan, and it does not involve you trying to become a master hacker. The right way is to go talk to your teacher. You explain the situation and you figure out a solution together. Trying to get around that filter on your own, that's a huge no-no. Okay, let's get to the part of the policy that tends to catch a lot of people off guard. The rules around privacy and who can see your stuff on school equipment. And this brings us right back to that question from the very beginning. Is the school Wi-Fi private? What can the administration actually see when you're logged on? The policy's answer, which you can find in rule number 10, is incredibly direct. When you're using their network, you have to assume they can see everything. Let me be really clear about this because it's so important. The policy literally states that there is no expectation of privacy. None. Zero. Any file you save, any message you send, any website you visit, it's all subject to be monitored by the administration at any time. And the school's rules don't just cover the digital world, they cover the physical tech too. If you damage a school laptop or tablet, the policy says your family is on the hook for the full cost to get it repaired or replaced. You also need to know how the policy defines damage. It's not just about accidentally dropping a device. If you try to jailbreak it or you try to disable the security software, well, the school doesn't see that as just messing around. They see it as intentional damage, and you'll be held responsible for it. To keep the focus on learning, the policy also gets pretty specific about your personal tech. So unless a teacher gives you the green light for a particular project, things like your own phone, AirPods, and smartwatches are generally not allowed on campus. So after all these rules, here's the big question. What actually happens if a student breaks the policy? Well, the consequences are serious, and they get more serious depending on the violation. It could start with something like losing access to certain apps. Then it could lead to getting kicked off the network completely. And in really severe cases, it can even lead to suspension or legal action. So why do we even need to know all this? Look, it's not just about staying out of trouble. Understanding these rules is kind of like your first real lesson in being a responsible member of any digital community. And that's a skill you're going to need for the rest of your life. And all of this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As technology just keeps moving faster and faster, these policies are going to have to change too. The real challenge for schools is going to be finding that perfect balance, between keeping students safe and giving them the freedom they need to learn, explore, and get ready for the complicated digital world that's waiting for them.